David's Saturday AI Thoughts, episode 14, 23rd of May 2026. Kids these days. What's on my mind? We sat at the kitchen table after dinner with his maths homework. Elliott is 14. The first couple of equations went fine. Then it got hard. We struggled with the next one together. I wanted to take our time with it. After a while, he got frustrated, got up, and went downstairs to his room. To use ChatGPT for help instead of me, he said. I went to find Teresa. I told her I was sad. I'd been enjoying the puzzle, the working out, the satisfaction of getting somewhere by the long route. When I was his age, I used to take my dad's Royal Engineers maths homework and do it myself for fun. The method was the joy. I wanted to share that. And now my son had walked off, and he was, I thought, basically cheating. Then he came back up the stairs. He had every answer. Of course he did. He'd used AI. What surprised me was what he'd done with them. He'd dug into everyone. Where ChatGPT's reasoning hadn't made sense to him, he'd dug deeper. He'd asked it questions. He'd kept asking until he satisfied himself the answer was right and the route made sense. He walked me through every equation. The easy ones and why they were easy, the tricky ones and what made them tricky, the surprising ones and why they surprised him. I could ask him anything, and he could defend it. He wasn't cheating, I realized. He was learning. What he had done downstairs in his room was a method. Use AI, check the answer, understand why it's right, own the result. I've been teaching professionals to do exactly this for 3.5 years. A broadcaster evaluating scripts for a drama slate, hundreds of submissions, finite human attention. AI takes the first pass against the slate, the audience goals, the editorial guidelines. The commissioning editor reads the summaries, skims every script, and reads in depth the ones the AI flags or her instinct flags. AI drafts. The human reads, interrogates, verifies, owns. The slow way alone, no AI, is bordering on professional negligence in 2026. I've said so to clients more times than I can count. And then I sat at my kitchen table and tried to make my son do it. The obvious question is about learning. What does learning mean now? What's the thing we're trying to build in a 14-year-old or a 24-year-old graduate? I learned by doing the steps. Elliott learned by interrogating answers he didn't generate. Both of us ended up understanding the method and able to defend the result. Mine was slower and produced a particular kind of pleasure in the method, and it suited the world I grew up into. His was quicker and may suit the world he's growing up into rather better. There's a quieter point underneath that. My method taught me how to solve equations and problems that look like equations. It teaches a specific skill. Elliott's method, the one he used downstairs, can be pointed at almost anything. An equation today, an unfamiliar legal document tomorrow, a chemistry problem the week after. He can't as easily derive an equation from first principles, and in some settings, that matters. I can, and the depth that gave me came at the cost of muscles I never built in the places I wasn't looking. Every strength has a shadow. The harder question is, what should we be recruiting for in graduates, and what should we be teaching them in their first 2 years? The old test was closer to, can you derive this from first principles, alone, in a room, in an hour? That test still measures something: rigor, patience, comfort with discomfort. But it may not be measuring the craft the graduate will use on Monday. The new test might be different. Generate AI answers. Find what's wrong and tell me why. Or here is a complex problem. Show me how you would use AI and how you would know the answer is right. Elliott will leave college in 8 years and start work somewhere. I don't know what skills the people hiring him will be testing for. Neither do they. But I strongly suspect they're closer to the ones he's learning than the ones I grew up on.
Here are 3 things worth knowing this week. Number 1. AI displacement now shows up in the US government data at both ends of the career ladder. A Bloomberg analysis of new Bureau of Labor Statistics figures finds that every one of the 18 occupations the BLS classifies as AI exposed has lost jobs over the past year, even as US payrolls grew 0.8% overall. Customer service representatives shed 130,180 jobs, 4.8% in a single year. Interpreters down 24% over 3 years. Credit authorizers down 26%, the exception that confirms the rule. Medical secretaries up 15.8%, the cluster that needs a body in the room. The same picture shows up at the other end of the funnel. The Economist this month plotted US graduate full-time employment against AI exposure. Computer science and information sciences graduates are down 10 to 15 percentage points since 2022. Philosophy and psychology graduates held steady or gained. The displacement isn't just to the people already doing those jobs. It's to the people trying to start in them, and what they should be studying, as Elliott and I both started to wonder this week, may not be obvious to anyone yet. Number 2. The UK's data regulator has put AI hiring tools on formal notice. 16 organisations have already had a letter. The Information Commissioner's Office, the UK's data protection regulator, issued formal guidance this week saying that AI-driven CV screening, candidate ranking, and video interview analysis without meaningful human involvement at every consequential stage may already breach UK data protection law. 16 organisations have been written to directly. The consultation closes on 29th of May, 6 days after this email lands. There is a concrete Monday morning task in this for any leader running a hiring pipeline. Ask the talent acquisition team for the full list of AI tools in use across the funnel. Decide which involvements count as meaningful against the ICO's test and put a response into the consultation. The window is genuinely short. Number 3. Salesforce will spend close to $300 million with Anthropic this year. Mark Benioff says the engineering productivity gains made it the easiest line in the budget. Mark Benioff disclosed this week that Salesforce is on track to spend close to $300 million with Anthropic over 2026. Separately, Anthropic announced a $200 million partnership with the Gates Foundation focused on global health. Most of the spend is on coding, justified by engineering productivity gains of more than 30%. That is a Fortune 100 chief executive treating the model layer as a procurement line item, not a research expense. The bigger question is, who in your firm is allowed to commit that kind of capital, against what kind of evidence, and how quickly?
Three things to try. Number 1. When the output goes wrong, shrink the task. Justin Skycack put it as a principle for skill acquisition this week. Shrink the unit of practice until the mistake has nowhere to hide. The same rule applies to working with language models. Sprawling prompts produce sprawling failures you can't diagnose. Break the task into its smallest meaningful unit, run it, inspect the output, then rebuild. If you can't immediately see where it went wrong, your chunk is still too large. Number 2, ask AI questions it can't possibly know the answer to. A marketing lead at a global firm told me this week she's running a 5-minute stress test on every AI tool she's thinking of trusting. She uploads her own data, asks the model to use only that data, then asks it questions she knows the data can't answer. Some models fabricate regardless. She's learned what its confident but wrong mode looks like before depending on it for an answer she can't independently check. Worth doing once on every tool you rely on. Number 3, run your day past AI before you start it. A senior leader described her commute habit to me this week. She opens Claude, asks it to review her calendar and her email, then asks it to surface what she needs to read before each meeting, what's carrying over from yesterday, and which emails in her inbox need replies before the day eats her. 5 minutes on the train, and the day is scoped from outside her own head. Just a nice little daily habit, she said. Try it tomorrow.
What readers said. Last week's edition on What boards accept drew the sharpest pushback in weeks, mostly on whether subtraction is the right move at all. A senior consulting voice argued that boards shouldn't be dictating at that level. Their lane is capital allocation and risk, and the posture should be relentless pressure on ambition, not refusal. A reader running another professional services practice accepted the frame but went further. The saved time in their world has gone into more client meetings, leaving every relationship more competitive and the industry no bigger. A senior leader at a global media company was jolted by the BCG stat that half of organizations have redesigned core workflows around AI and wanted to move faster.
Underneath what readers were posting on LinkedIn this week was the same nerve as the post bag, where the work actually sits and who's doing it. Phil Leslie, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Cornerstone Research, an economic and financial consulting firm, put it most cleanly. I don't want an AI as a doctor or lawyer, but I definitely do want a doctor or lawyer that is using AI. Adam Peruta, an academic at the Newhouse School and also part of the Stedman team, partnered with Ipsos on a 20-ad study. The AI-generated ads tested 14% weaker on short-term sales, 17% weaker on long-term brand health. And Elizabeth Oates, VP of Consumer Insights at Molson Coors, caught herself doing algebra on a post-it at work. No calculator, no AI. The thread underneath, which bits of the work are still ours?
That's it for David's Saturday AI Thoughts this week. This is a faithful reading of the email edition, the full written version with a slightly longer version of the essay, all the links and sources, plus 7 bits that didn't fit, full reader letters, and full community voices is at stedman.ai. Thanks for listening.